So I'm headed to the park today. It's been a couple of weeks since I got that shot in my ankle, and I've been kind of nursing things for the last couple of weeks, just trying to get my rhythm back and feel what it's like to not walk in pain. So I'm going to head to the park and get some steps in today, do some walking, and just kind of see how I do. I don't have a brace on or anything. I'm just trying to find out if it gets inflamed or it gets bothered. It's really kind of a strange thing because I've gotten so accustomed to my entire ankle being inflamed and 1.5 times the size of the other one that I've kind of accepted it. I went through a period where I thought I was getting too much salt, where I wasn't moving enough, and the miles that I was racking up on my health app it just led me to believe there was just no way it could be not getting enough steps. That just didn't seem like it made sense to me. And it took about 5 or 6 days for the swelling to go down, and I just happened to notice it one morning that both of my ankles were the exact same size. And I've just been living with a really fat ankle, and it's been so painful to walk. And I know it sounds like I'm harping on it, but to not feel it anymore is such a different experience for me because I tolerated it for as long as I did. Trying to take advantage of the nice day. We've got a lot of stuff to do today. But I'll tell you what, we have down, if you're familiar with St. Louis, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not, in the city limits, there is a district, a neighborhood that's referred to as the Hill. And it was originally kind of where the Italian population in St. Louis kind of settled. And what we have today is still a pretty strongly Italian neighborhood there. But what we also have is a huge collection of really good Italian restaurants. And it's been over 20 years since I've eaten at any of those restaurants. Enough time had passed between the time I stopped going down there and the time I got diagnosed with celiac, and I thought, well, if I've got that diagnosis, there's probably no way that I can walk into a place that peddles pasta and bread and all those other things. So I've just kind of avoided it just out of principle. And Bridge and I lately have been looking for things to do on Saturday nights. We've been trying to not stay at home. Can we go out and do something? Not necessarily spend a ton of money, but can we just get out of the house and go do something? And it's kind of turned into this Saturday night dinner thing where we go and discover a new restaurant or rediscover an old restaurant. And come to find out, Bridge has never eaten at a restaurant on the Hill. And I remembered one of my favorites, and I thought, well, you know, it has been 20 years. I hope it kind of tastes the same. And we jumped online and we found out that that particular restaurant has a very large gluten-free menu, large enough where we thought, you know, that's worth checking out. And Bridge got excited about it because she saw some things on the menu. So we went last night, and it's prom season, so there were a ton of young people there, very smartly dressed. It was really great to see. And the restaurant was just packed to begin with. We waited a little over an hour at the bar for a table. It's not working. And we sat in the bar, and oddly enough, God love her, Bridge ordered her favorite drink, which is a margarita, and yes, in an Italian restaurant. and she had one of the best margaritas she's ever had in an Italian restaurant. And then dinner came, and I had just a pasta, gluten-free pasta, cum broccoli sort of dish. But of course, it came on a plate that was the size of a trash can lid. And Bridge had a meat dish, which, I'm not going to touch that. But to see the look on her face and the satisfaction that she got from eating it, we were just sold on the idea that we'd absolutely go back to this place. So last night was a huge hit in an area where I don't have a whole lot of options to go when it comes to eating out. It's nice to know that there is an option that gets us a little further out of our immediate sphere of influence where we live. It gets us into the city where we don't really go that often. And it's nice to know that there's a little food oasis for me where I could go and eat safely, and that they understand the needs of people with celiac. And the food was, just the delicious food on top of everything else just made it that much more enjoyable. I have just pulled into the park, and it's going to be a popular place today, I'm sure, because it's a really super beautiful day out. Gonna pull up here and let's see how this walk goes. This is the questionable one. Still a little wobbly. That's a tough one without support. It's the arthritic bone on bone that makes that hard. I'm not there yet. Let's see how this goes. It would probably be a smarter decision for me to stay on asphalt paving today, but I'm not always that smart when it comes to what's good for me. Not too many people here yet, but I suspect it'll crowd up. And small little victory. All those people behind me, I've stopped caring. I've really stopped caring about who watches me do this. And that's big, because I struggled with that for a while. I have been doing this for about a year on a semi-regular basis. Really sorry I don't post more. I do what I can. I've got my hands in a lot of things. I like to share some of those things here. Other times, like last night, I had the camera with me, but with 20,000 people in the restaurant and all the noise, it just didn't seem like the right place to get out and take footage. And we were both kind of caught up in the moment because the food was so good, and Bridge was a little tipsy from the margarita that she had. I'm here walking in what looks like a bike path. So it's not always at the front of my mind to pick up my camera and start filming. There is barely a cloud in the sky today, and I am feeling pretty good about walking. Got a short list of things to bring home from the grocer. We're having a few people over for dinner tonight, and we've got this really amazing arborio rice and tofu dish that's kind of Chinese 5-spice based and it's really delicious, and it's got coconut milk, and it's not necessarily a healthy choice, but my God, is it delicious. So I've got a few things, veggies and some things to pick up at the grocer on the way home, provided I don't slip, fall, and land in the river. Kind of enjoying this little stroll along the path less traveled. It's a little treacherous with some of the roots going across the path, but so far so good on how my ankle feels. I think one of my favorite places and one of my favorite things to do is to just walk in the woods. Some of my 40-plus-year-old Boy Scout training comes back, helps me remember which things to stay away from. It's really kind of a funny thing. Poison ivy. I fell into a batch of that face first as a kid, and it never bothered me. And then at some point in my life, it became a problem for me. Now, knock on wood, I haven't had that problem in a while, but I've also been careful to kind of steer clear of things that look like it. And I've been free from that misery for a number of years now. I'm going to do everything I can to stay away. So my next order of business this week, later in the week, is to get some more leather on order so I can start preparing for the shows in the fall. I'm going to do Hannibal again this year, if they'll have me. I've applied, and hopefully they're kind to returning artists. And then I think next year, I got on the mailing list for another art fair down by the Botanical Garden called the Shaw Art Fair. Shaw is a neighborhood in the city named after Henry Shaw, who donated the land for the Botanical Garden. And what's potentially really good and really lucrative about that event is they hold that the same weekend that the garden holds the Japanese festival. So there are tons of people at that event, and the neighborhood is right across the street from the garden, so there's a lot of cross-pollination between the two events, and I'm really, really hoping next year that my pieces are good enough to be able to get into that show. There are more artists than craftsmen in that show, and I don't know if they'll take me. So my goal is to build my chops this year with some of the finer pieces that I'm working on and get them looking better and more refined, and hopefully, fingers crossed, they're good enough to get me into that show next year. Coming out here and doing this on the weekend is kind of a step towards building my confidence to bring my gym bag back to the office so I can start hitting the treadmill during lunchtime. I'd kind of gotten into that habit before I had gotten the shot, and because the shot took a little while to start working, I've been not using the treadmill at work. That's really found time for me. I find myself doing a lot of mindless things on my lunch hour, and I thought, you know, I get up at about 4:45 in the morning, and by the time I leave the house and get to the office, it's a little after 6, maybe 6:05, and I stay at the office until 4 o'clock. And then it's really ridiculous. I work 18 miles from home, and in the evening rush, it takes me an hour. It takes me an hour to get home, and I'm kind of wired for the front end of the day anyway. Just I always wake up early, but I get to the office early because A, the phones aren't ringing and there's no other real demands on my time. But B, the traffic is so much better. I can get to the office in 25 to 30 minutes in the morning, but it takes an hour to get home. So by the time I get home, it's 5-ish. We usually don't eat until 5:30 or maybe 6. And after that full day, I don't know, I'm just it's kind of hard to find the motivation to go out and walk. So I've been using the time after dinner for my strength training down in the basement. That's been working out really well, and I've been building a consistency with that. So that feels good. It's the cardio part that's been missing, and I'm trying to ward off the cholesterol bad things. So keeping the cardio in my routine is something I've been fighting for during the week, and it just seems like that lunch hour has found time. I'm in the office 10 hours a day every day, with the exception of Wednesdays when I work at home. So if this goes well today, I'll pack the bag for tomorrow.
Promise not to you. Promise.
I am shooting again today on the DJI Action 6. I still have not had the opportunity to experiment in hotter sunlight with my ND filters to see what that does to the footage. I do have a question. If you're familiar with the Action 6, if I could ask you, please, to drop a comment in the video below when I am in this mode, shooting myself. After a minute, the screen blanks and it goes to a digital timer, and I can no longer see myself in this frame for reference, so I don't know if I'm really pointing it at myself or not. If there is a setting that I haven't found yet, and we'll fix that, if you would be so kind as to drop that fix in the comments, that would be a huge help to me, because sometimes the camera, there it goes right now, sometimes the camera just kind of drifts off to the side, and I'm not really sure if I've got myself covered or not. I know it's a pretty wide angle of coverage on this camera, and I have to say that with my limited use of it so far, it's really easy. It's simple. I love the quick release, especially over the GoPro. Number one complaint about the GoPro, the battery dies in like 10 seconds. Well, not really, but that's what it feels like. Second is that freaking mount is just, I get it, you don't want to lose the camera, but this seems like so much better of a solution with the spring clip, and it's just so much faster. I bought the adapter for my suction cup mount, and so I could shoot from the car, and you saw that earlier. That's one of the things I really enjoy, is my ability to just pluck it off of that mount and stick it onto this tripod here and be able to walk with it really, really quickly and just not have to think about it. I'm gonna climb this little slow hill here, and right at the top of this little hill is the asphalt path that's gonna take me back to the car. And thus far, I can tell that my ankle is recovering, but I don't have the stiffness and the pain that started wrapping around my ankle and started going up like the side of my shin. That referred pain is just makes it so uncomfortable and so unpleasing to walk, and walking is my preferred method of cardio. And there's my asphalt path. And there's the overlook to the river. I've taken you there before. There's the path that goes down to the bridge over the drive, the entry into the park. And this is the asphalt path that leads back to my car. Let's go grocery shopping. So the list is a pretty short list. Let's go in and get this knocked out. My avocado drought, 89 cents each. They're a little green, certainly not as fresh as I could get in other places. When the store is not as crowded. I don't know, it's kind of this first little experiment of bringing y'all with me while I go out and take care of a few things. So I hope it wasn't too terribly boring to watch. I appreciate all of you hanging out with me today and coming along. I appreciate you watching. Thank you so much. I hope you're having a great Sunday. I hope you have a great week. Please be good to yourself and be kind to one another. Take care.